Everyone thinks they know Sonic. The blue blur, the cheerful music, the feeling of speed without danger. That's how it starts. That's how it always starts. What nobody tells you is that some versions of Sonic were never meant to be played. Some cartridges were pulled from shelves without explanation. Some arcade cabinets were quietly destroyed. Some development builds were lost. And some found their way into bedrooms, basements, abandoned malls, and late-night emulator folders. Every person you're about to hear from thought they were just revisiting a childhood memory. Something nostalgic. Something safe. They were wrong. Because once Sonic notices you watching him, once he stops running forward and starts running toward you, there's no reset button. These are 3 true encounters. 3 people who swear they played a game that should not exist. And none of them ever heard the end-of-level jingle again. I didn't download the ROM because it was creepy. I downloaded it because I couldn't sleep. It was one of those nights where your brain won't shut up. 3:17 a.m., blinds rattling in the wind, the glow of my monitor being the only light in my room. I was scrolling through an old forum dedicated to obscure Sega prototypes and canceled builds. Most of it was junk, fake screenshots, dead links, people LARPing horror stories for attention. Then I saw a thread with no replies. Sonic the Hedgehog, GHZ Beta, unfinished loop build. No images, no description, just a MediaFire link and a single comment from the uploader. If the music cuts out, don't pause. Pausing makes it worse. That should have been my cue to close the tab. Instead, I downloaded it. The file name was wrong. Not Sonic_Victor_Beta.bin or anything normal. It was just running.bin. I loaded it into my emulator, leaned back in my chair, and waited for the familiar Sega logo. It never came. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds, long enough that I thought it had frozen. Then Green Hill Zone faded in, already mid-level. No title card, no music sting, just Sonic standing perfectly still on the left edge of the screen. That alone unsettled me. Sonic never stands still. Even idle, he taps his foot, looks at the camera, does something cocky. This Sonic didn't blink. The music started a second later, but it was wrong. Same instruments, same melody, but slowed down like someone dragging their fingers across piano keys. The tempo kept fluctuating, speeding up and slowing down in uneven pulses that made my skin crawl. I pressed right. Sonic didn't move. I pressed again. Nothing. For a moment, I thought the ROM was broken, until Sonic slowly turned his head. Not his body, just his head. Pixel by pixel, his face rotated toward the screen, his eyes locking straight forward. Straight at me. Then he ran. Not right. Not left. Forward, toward the camera. The screen snapped in motion as if yanked forward, the level stretching unnaturally, palm trees warping as Sonic accelerated. The sense of speed was wrong, too. No motion blur. No smooth scrolling. Everything jerked in tiny increments, like frames were being skipped intentionally. I let go of the controller. Sonic didn't stop. He ran until the screen slammed into a hard cut. Black. No music. I exhaled a shaky laugh. Okay, I muttered. Cute. Then the level resumed. Green Hill Zone again. But it wasn't the same layout. The first loop, the iconic one, was gone, replaced by a steep hill that led into nothing but sky. The checkerboard ground extended farther than it should have, the ocean missing entirely. The flowers were gray. The sun flickered like a broken bulb. Sonic was back at the start, still not blinking. This time I pressed right again. He moved, but sluggishly like wading through syrup. His run animation lagged, half a frame behind his speed, making his limbs feel disconnected from his body. The music resumed, but quieter now, like it was coming from another room. I jumped. The jump arc was wrong. Too high. Too floaty. When Sonic landed, the ground squished. Not visually, audibly. A wet, muffled sound came through my speakers, like stepping on soaked cardboard. I froze, fingers hovering over the controller. I tried to pause. The screen didn't freeze. Instead, the colors inverted. Green turned black. Blue turned white. Sonic's body became a stark silhouette, except for his eyes, now 2 empty white ovals. Text appeared at the bottom of the screen in blocky Genesis font. No breaks. The emulator stopped responding. Alt plus F4 did nothing. Control plus Alt plus Delete did nothing. Then Sonic started moving again. I hadn't pressed anything. He ran forward on his own, the camera tracking him automatically. The level stopped scrolling at its usual pace and instead lagged behind, as if Sonic was outrunning the world itself. Palm trees clipped in half. Platforms loaded too late, popping into existence under his feet just in time to keep him running. And the farther he went, the quieter the music became, until all I could hear was footsteps. Not Sonic's. Mine. That sounds impossible, I know. But through my speakers, layered under the faint hiss of static, I could hear the soft thud of sneakers against carpet. My carpet. I glanced down at my feet. They were still. The footsteps kept going. On screen, Sonic slowed. For the first time since I started playing, he hesitated. The camera panned right, past Sonic, showing more of the level ahead. Green Hill didn't loop anymore. It ended. The ground simply stopped, dropping into a jagged black void that pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. The sky beyond it was darker than before, streaked with long vertical lines, like rain frozen in time. Sonic took a step back, then another. Text flashed again. "You're ahead of me." My chest tightened. "Nope," I whispered, finally reaching behind my PC tower and yanking the power cable. The screen went black instantly. So did my room. For a second, there was nothing but darkness and my own breathing. Then my monitor flickered back on. The game was still running, but Sonic was gone. The camera was fixed on the empty edge of the platform, staring into the void. No HUD, no rings, no life counter, just the wind sound effect looping over and over, stretched until it sounded like distant screaming. Then a shadow rose from the void. At first, I thought it was Sonic climbing back up, but it was taller. Its shape was wrong, too thin, limbs bending at angles Sonic's sprite never should. It pulled itself onto the platform slowly, one pixel at a time, leaving behind dark smears that didn't disappear. When it fully emerged, it stood facing away from the camera. Blue fur, red shoes, Sonic. But his proportions were off. His head tilted slightly to the side, neck elongated, quills drooping like wet hair. When he turned around, his face didn't animate. It slid, like someone dragging a mask into place. His eyes were black now. No pupils, no whites, just two empty holes that seemed to swallow the light around them. Text appeared again. "You stopped running." The footsteps through my speakers grew louder. Closer. I spun in my chair, heart pounding. My bedroom door was still closed. Locked. The footsteps stopped anyway, right outside it. On screen, Sonic took one slow step forward. Then another. Each step synced perfectly with a soft thud from the other side of my door. I screamed and slammed my fist into the keyboard, mashing random keys. The game reacted. Sonic snapped his head up. His mouth stretched into a grin that split his face too wide, rows of jagged white pixels flickering inside. The screen filled with static, and for a split second, just one, I saw my room reflected back at me through the noise. My desk, my chair, my door, and behind me, something blue. The monitor went black again, this time staying that way. My PC shut down completely, fans whining as they powered off. The footsteps vanished. I sat there for a long time, shaking, listening to my own pulse in my ears. Eventually, I convinced myself it was just a bad ROM, a prank, a creepypasta disguised as software. I unplugged everything and didn't turn my PC back on until morning. When I did, the running.bin file was gone. So was my emulator. In their place was a single text file on my desktop. No extension, just a name. Keep up. I deleted it immediately. That was 3 months ago. Sometimes when I'm trying to sleep, I hear fast footsteps in my hallway, too fast to be human, looping back and forth like something running in circles. And every once in a while, just before the sound fades, I swear I hear the faint echo of Green Hill Zone music, slowed down, waiting for me to start running again. I never believed the rumors about the old mall until I went there myself. Every town has one, some rotting shopping center that time forgot. Ours sat just outside the city limits, swallowed by weeds and cracked asphalt. When it closed, the sign still read Ridgeway Plaza, but half the letters had burned out, leaving Ridway PLA like it was already trying to erase itself. People said squatters lived there. People said animals nested in the ceiling. People said kids went in and never came out the same. The one rumor everyone laughed about was the arcade. They said one machine still worked. No power. No lights in the building. No explanation. I laughed too, until my friend Marcus dared me to go inside. Marcus was the kind of guy who chased abandoned places like trophies. He ran a YouTube channel, urban exploration, shaky footage, fake fear reactions. He wanted something new, something viral. Dude, he said, grinning, flashlight already in hand. They say it's a Sonic machine. That made me pause. Not because Sonic scared me, but because it didn't make sense. Arcades hadn't kept Sonic cabinets around long. Fighters stayed. Shooters stayed. Sonic was a novelty, a relic, and relics didn't survive. We went in through a shattered side entrance near what used to be a shoe store. The air inside was stale, thick with dust and mildew. Our footsteps echoed too loudly, bouncing down dark corridors lined with empty storefronts. Ceiling tiles hung like loose teeth. Marcus filmed everything. Ridgeway Plaza. He whispered dramatically into the camera. Closed in 2004. No security. No electricity. That last part was true. The breaker boxes had been stripped years ago. Copper theft. The place was dead, except for one sound. Music. Faint. Tinny. Familiar. Marcus stopped walking. Tell me you hear that. I nodded. It was distorted, like it was playing through water, but unmistakable. Green Hill Zone. We followed it. The arcade was in the center of the mall, past the food court with its overturned chairs and fossilized trash. The entrance still had faded carpet and a crack sign that read Fun Zone. The O hanging crooked like a broken jaw. Inside, rows of cabinets stood like corpses. Screens smashed. Control panels ripped out. Some were pushed over entirely, wires spilling out like guts. Except one, at the far end, glowing. The Sonic cabinet stood upright, pristine compared to the rest. No graffiti, no cracks. The marquee was bright, colors vivid, Sonic frozen mid-run with that cocky grin. The screen was on. Marcus laughed nervously. Okay, that's actually sick. I walked closer. That's when I noticed something wrong. There was no power cord. I checked behind it. Nothing plugged into the wall. No extension cables. No generator hum. The building was silent except for the game's music. The screen displayed the title, Sonic the Hedgehog. Below it, in smaller text, insert coin. Marcus reached into his pocket. No way this works. He dropped a quarter into the slot. The machine accepted it. The sound wasn't a cheerful cling. It was a dull thud, like metal hitting meat. The screen flickered. Instead of a normal start animation, the game jumped straight into Green Hill Zone. Sonic stood at the starting position, facing right. The music started, but it was slowed, warped, like it was struggling to remember how it was supposed to sound. Yo, Marcus said, whispering. This is gold. He hit start. Nothing happened. He mashed it again. Sonic didn't move. Then, without input, Sonic took a step forward. Just one. The cabinet speakers crackled. A new sound layered under the music, breathing. Not Sonic's cheerful idle noise. Human breathing. Marcus laughed again, but it was forced. All right, creepy mod. Cute. Sonic took another step. The background began to change. Palm trees leaned inward, their trunks bending like they were watching. The checkerboard ground darkened, tiles staining themselves a muddy brown. Flowers wilted frame by frame. The HUD flickered. The score counter replaced numbers with letters. MARCUS. Marcus froze. Did you see that? I nodded, heart hammering. The name blinked once, then changed back to 0. Dude, how would it even? Marcus started. Sonic stopped running. He turned around. Slowly, the music cut out completely. Sonic stared directly out of the screen. Then text appeared. Second player waiting. Marcus laughed too loudly. Okay, no. Nope. That's enough. He reached for the cabinet's power switch. There wasn't one. The screen suddenly zoomed in, pixels stretching, Sonic's face filling the display. His eyes were black voids now, swallowing color. The speakers hissed. Then a voice came through. Not robotic. Not distorted. Marcus's voice. Hey, it said softly. You still filming? Marcus dropped the camera. It hit the floor with a clatter, but kept recording. I didn't say that, Marcus whispered. The cabinet spoke again. You always keep filming, it said, even when you should run. Sonic's mouth moved in sync with the words, but his sprite didn't animate properly. The jaw stretched too far. The grin stayed frozen. The floor beneath the cabinet began to vibrate. I felt it through my shoes. Sonic turned and ran. Not forward, not left, down. The screen showed Sonic descending into the ground itself, the level peeling open like skin. Beneath Green Hill was darkness, layer upon layer of corrupted geometry, broken tiles, fragments of other levels mashed together. Faces appeared in the background, pixelated, distorted. Watching, the score counter changed again. Score 001. Then, score 002. Each number ticked up with a wet click. What's it counting? I whispered. Marcus didn't answer. He was staring at the screen, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. The cabinet speakers crackled again. Don't look away, Marcus's voice said. You'll miss it. The camera on the floor tilted slightly. Something had bumped it. Behind us. I turned. The arcade was darker now. The far wall had receded, stretching farther away than it should have. The rows of dead cabinets seemed closer together, closing in. I grabbed Marcus's arm. We're leaving. Now. He didn't move. On screen, Sonic stopped running. He turned back toward the camera. Toward us. Text appeared. Player 2 found. The cabinet lurched forward. Not metaphorically. Physically. It scraped across the floor, metal legs screeching, moving on its own toward Marcus. I pulled him back hard, breaking his trance. He stumbled, nearly falling. What the hell was that? He shouted. The cabinet stopped. Sonic stared. The breathing through the speakers grew louder, ragged, desperate. Coin, the voice said. Insert coin. No, Marcus screamed. The cabinet shook. The coin return slot popped open. Inside wasn't change. It was filled with quarters. Hundreds of them, all stained dark. Marcus backed away. This isn't funny anymore. The screen flashed white. For a split second, the game showed something else. A video feed. The arcade. From above. I saw myself. I saw Marcus. And I saw two other figures standing behind us. Tall. Thin. Blue. Their faces were wrong. The screen snapped back to the game. Sonic was gone. The level was empty. The score counter read 002. Then 003. A hand touched my shoulder. I screamed and spun around. Nothing was there. But the camera on the floor captured something I didn't see at first. When Marcus reviewed the footage later, when he still could, it showed a third shadow joining us, standing just behind my back. The cabinet let out a low hum. The marquee flickered, letters rearranging themselves. Fun zone became run zone. The floor vibrated again. From the hallway outside the arcade, footsteps echoed. Fast. Too fast. Marcus grabbed my arm. We're done. Run. We bolted. The music followed us. Not from the cabinet. From everywhere. Green Hill Zone echoed through the mall, bouncing off broken storefronts, speeding up as we ran. The lights flickered on and off in sync with the beat. We burst through the side entrance and didn't stop running until we hit the street. The music cut out instantly. Silence. We didn't speak for a long time. Marcus never uploaded the footage. He tried to watch it once, alone. He called me afterward, voice shaking. Dude, he whispered. The score counter, it keeps going up. What do you mean? It's counting views. The line went dead. Marcus deleted his channel the next day. He doesn't talk about the mall anymore. But sometimes, late at night, he texts me a single message. Just a number. And it's always higher than the last time. It's been a year. But sometimes, when I'm walking fast, when I start to run, I hear it. That music that I used to speedrun Sonic. Not casually. Not for nostalgia. I mean seriously. Frame-perfect jumps. Subpixel positioning. Muscle memory so tight I could clear Green Hill blindfolded. I knew the physics better than I knew my own reflexes. Sonic wasn't a character to me. He was math. Momentum. Exploits. A solved equation. That's why I noticed when the equation changed. It started after a marathon stream. 16 hours straight, pushing for a personal best in Sonic 1. My chat was dead by the end. Just me, The hum of my PC and the hypnotic loop of Green Hill Zone burned into my skull. I finally shut everything down around 4 a.m. That's when the run continued. The music didn't stop. I pulled my headphones off. Green Hill was still playing. Softly. From my monitor, the emulator window was closed. OBS was closed. Task Manager showed nothing running. Still, the melody kept looping slightly off-key, like a corrupted MIDI struggling to breathe. I rebooted. The music stopped. I told myself it was audio bleed. Sleep deprivation. Nothing. The next night, I loaded the game again. Something was wrong immediately. Sonic's idle animation was slower. Not laggy, deliberate, like he was conserving energy. Watching, I shook it off and started the run. Everything felt normal until Act 2. At the first checkpoint, Sonic stopped responding for exactly half a second. Not input lag. Not dropped frames. A pause. Then he snapped forward, resuming movement as if nothing happened. My split was still green. Chat didn't notice, but my hand was sweating. By the end of the run, my time was off by 3 frames. 3 frames slower. Impossible. I rewatched the VOD frame by frame. That's when I saw it. At the exact moment Sonic froze, a single pixel of text flashed beneath the HUD. So fast it barely registered. One word. My name. I laughed out loud. Okay, I said to my empty room. That's new. I assumed it was a glitch, maybe some corrupted memory pulling data from somewhere it shouldn't. I wiped the ROM, re-downloaded a clean copy, even swapped emulators. Next stream, same thing. Different act. Different spot. Same half-second pause. Same flash of text. My name. This time, chat caught it. Did it just say your name? WDF was that new mod? I ended the stream early. That night, I dreamed of running. Not as Sonic. As myself. The world was Green Hill, checkerboard ground, endless blue sky. But I couldn't stop moving. The faster I ran, the more the terrain stretched, looping endlessly. No finish. No goal. Just speed. When I woke up, my legs hurt. Like I'd actually been running. The next day, I opened my emulator without streaming. The title screen was different. Instead of Sonic the Hedgehog, it read, Sonic is waiting. I tried to quit. The emulator wouldn't close. The music didn't start. Sonic stood on the title screen, facing away. I pressed start. The screen faded into Green Hill, but it wasn't level 1. The HUD was gone. No timer. No score. No rings. Sonic didn't move. I pressed right. Nothing. Then text appeared in the center of the screen. You're early. The camera slowly zoomed out, revealing something I'd never seen before. The entire level. Not just the section you play, but all of it. Loops, platforms, springs, enemies, all visible at once like a diorama. And at the far right edge of the world, there was nothing. No wall. No boundary. Just empty black space. Sonic turned his head slightly. Not toward the screen. Toward the void. Text appeared again. This is where you stop. The music started, but backwards. Sonic ran. Not right. Toward the edge. The camera followed him all the way. As he approached the boundary, the pixels around him began to distort. His sprite elongated, limbs stretching unnaturally, his run animation accelerating beyond what the engine should allow. I mashed buttons, desperate. Sonic ignored me. He reached the edge and stepped off. The screen didn't fade, didn't cut. The camera followed him down into the darkness. The level peeled away, layers of tile maps ripping apart to reveal something underneath. Rows, endless rows, of other levels, other Sonics, different palettes, different sprites, some corrupted, some unfinished, some wrong in ways I can't describe. All of them running, all of them failing to reach something just ahead of them. Text flooded the screen. Too slow, too slow, too slow. Then it stopped. Silence. A single line appeared. Watch. The screen shifted again. I wasn't watching Sonic anymore. I was watching myself. My room. My chair. My desk. Rendered in pixel art. Sonic stood in the doorway. But he wasn't blue. He was empty. A silhouette shaped like Sonic, filled with shifting static. He took a step into my room. I ripped the power cord out of my PC. The monitor went black. The music didn't stop. It was coming from behind me. I didn't turn around. I didn't sleep. In the morning, My stream notifications were full. People asking why I'd gone live at 3:12 a.m. I checked the VOD. The footage showed my empty chair, the game running on its own, Sonic standing still. Then, slowly, he looked at the camera and typed, letter by letter, my name. Then, ready for your PB? I deleted everything. Accounts, backups, hard drives. I moved. I stopped gaming. And I feel something matching my pace perfectly, just behind me, waiting for me to slip, waiting for me to slow down. Because Sonic never stopped running. And now, neither can I.